But dear God, are you listening? Why does Commissioner Thorne and so many others question my decision in a special counsel? Lord, you're flawed, hard-headed, and imperfect child. I'm a little confused. I appointed 3 special counsel, as is my right to do, paid them all the same hourly rate. They only attacked one. I hired one white woman, a good personal friend and great lawyer, a superstar, I tell you. I hired one white man, brilliant, my friend, and a great lawyer. And I hired one black man, another superstar, a great friend, and a great lawyer. Oh Lord, they gonna be mad when I call them out on this nonsense. First thing they say, oh, she gonna play the race card now. But no, God, isn't it them who's playing the race card when they only question one? Isn't it them playing the race card when they constantly think, I need someone from some other jurisdiction in some other state to tell me how to do a job I've been doing almost 30 years. Wasn't it them that attacked this lawyer of impeccable credentials? The black man I chose has been a judge more than 10 years, run a private practice more than 20, represented businesses in civil litigation. I ain't done, y'all. Served as a prosecutor, a criminal defense lawyer, special assistant attorney general, won Chief Justice Robert Benham Award from the State Bar of Georgia. You know, they ain't just giving this to black men. How come, God, the same black man I hired was acceptable when a Republican in another county hired him and paid him twice the rate? Come on. Oh, y'all ain't hear me. Come on. In another county, the elected official has the authority to pay him twice the rate. Why is the white male Republican's judgment good enough, but the black female Democrats not? Now, please hear me. I'm not criticizing his judgment. The people of his county elected him to make that decision. In fact, let me put it on the record. He's someone I respect because he was always willing to hire diversity. He was just looking for quality. I don't care political party. They care about it. My only question is, why is it question me? Lord, now I want to be clear. All 3 of these special counselors are superstars. But I'm just asking God, is it that some will never see a black man as qualified, no matter his achievements? What more can one achieve? The other 2 have never been judges, but no one questions their credentials. I'm just saying.
So Michael Popok, Legal AF, if anybody thought that Fani Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney, lacked any type of integrity, fortitude, courage, grace, ethics, or anything else, in the way that she's been mercilessly attacked in a recent filing with unsworn factual allegations against her, claiming that she was in some sort of inappropriate relationship with her special counsel, one of 3 special counsels that she's appointed to the case against Donald Trump and the 14 others, which would entitle them in some way to have their indictment dismissed and their criminal conduct, which has been indicted by a grand jury, completely absolved. Think again. Fani Willis is fighting back. She'll file the appropriate motion and the appropriate papers to oppose the motion to disqualify her and to dismiss the indictment at the right time and have a hearing in front of Judge McAfee in February. But in the meantime, she took to the pulpit, literally, at a Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration at the Big Bethel AME Church right in the heart of Atlanta and spent time doing what she does best, eloquently explaining her position and why it logically, intellectually, from an integrity standpoint, makes absolutely no sense for anyone to attack her ethics. And yes, properly claiming that it must be because the person that she's in a relationship with is a black man, and the black man is the one of the 3 special counsels that she's appointed, and the only one that people are attacking. You heard on her clip there, her defense without naming who it was, without saying his name, Nathan Wade. Now, for the purposes of this hot take, I'm going to assume that Fani Willis is in some sort of friendship or something similar to it and spends time outside the office with Nathan Wade, who works for her, who is appointed by her. She's allowed to appoint special counsels to help with one of the most complicated cases facing any office in America. The Department of Justice, which is hundreds of times larger than the Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney's Office, they have hired special counsels and dozens of attorneys and dozens of investigators, and have spent up to $14 million so far just after a 4-count case against one defendant in the District of Columbia. Compare that to Fani Willis's team. You think they were prepared to take on, 18 co-conspirators, 30 or more counts of felonies for improper election interference in Georgia? She wasn't. And so all she did was hire 3 special counsel to help her team, to assist them to go after the former president of the United States and members of his inner circle and members of the leadership of the Republican Party in Georgia, and bring in witnesses like the governor and the secretary of state. And she's being faulted for bringing in and paying them $250 an hour and totaling probably $1 million, while Jack Smith down 95 or up 95 in the District of Columbia has spent $14 million for his case, which is a simpler case to try. Come on. And so the attack, which is nonsensical and not at all unethical, against Nathan Wade makes absolutely no sense, except when you factor in the attack on Fani Willis and race. And that's what Fani Willis is saying. We saw a clip there. Let me read to you what she also said standing in front of this historic black church on Martin Luther King Jr. Day there. She said that she appointed 2 other people that were also very good friends of hers, along with Nathan Wade. John Floyd White, a well-known, well-respected rock star of a racketeering criminal expert, and has been on her team for a long time. And Anna Green Cross, also a white lawyer, prosecutor, who's also been serving time on helping Fani Willis, along with Nathan Wade. Now, sure, Nathan Wade's been paid more money, but Nathan Wade's doing the laboring oar of being the lead special counsel and special prosecutor on the case. Fani Willis said at the church they only attacked 1 of the 3 that I appointed, 2 white people, a white woman, a white man, and a black man. She says, and I quote, "First thing they say, oh, she's going to play the race card now. But no, God, isn't it them that's playing the race card when they only question 1? Isn't it them playing the race card when they constantly think I need someone from some other jurisdiction in some other state to tell me how to do a job I've been doing for over 30 years now?" Quote, continuing by Fani Willis today, defending herself to the extent that she has to. "The black man I chose," that's Nathan Wade, "has been a judge more than 10 years, run a private practice more than 20, represented businesses in civil litigation." And she said she wasn't done enlisting his credentials. She served as a prosecutor, a criminal defense lawyer, special assistant attorney general, and won an award from the State Bar of Georgia. She then turned to the church, historic black church, and said, they ain't just giving this to a black man. In other words, one who didn't deserve it. She then alluded to work Wade had previously done for the former Cobb County Sheriff, Neil Warren, and a primarily white part of Georgia. "How come, God," she said, "the same black man I hired was acceptable when a Republican in another county hired him and paid him twice the rate, so $500 an hour?" She asked to a smattering of cheers and applause. "Why is the white male Republican's judgment good enough, but the black female Democrats isn't?" She goes on to talk about the fact that she should have the discretion and given the authority and given the respect to make her decisions about her job, and having done it so well. Now, the response so far to Fani Willis using the pulpit to defend herself appropriately is you have Mike Roman, who's one of the co-conspirators, who was the election day coordinator for Donald Trump. He ended up being the mule, to use a favorite MAGA term, to try to get the fake elector certificates prepared, executed, signed, and delivered to Mike Pence in order to continue their pressure campaign to overturn the will of the people. It was Mike Roman working with Ken Chesebro, now a convicted felon in Florida and former lawyer for Donald Trump, who conspired to get the battleground states, the 7 battleground states electors together. On the day the electors, the real electors met, but they met secretly, surreptitiously, signed documents in which they basically committed fraud, and then had to arrange logistically to get those individual certificates into the hands of Mike Pence. That's Mike Roman. Mike Roman, based on the testimony of Ken Chesebro to all the prosecutors around the country and attorney generals, is in deep trouble. So what does he do? Oh, let's play the race card. Let's play the misogynist card. Let's go after Nathan Wade's credentials because he's never tried a RICO case. So what? I've tried many cases that substantively, topically, from a legal standpoint, it was the first time I'd ever tried that particular case in that particular area. Doesn't mean I didn't win, right? Litigators are trained their skill set is how to try cases. A person like Nathan Wade, who's been a judge, a prosecutor, an attorney general, assistant attorney general, special counsel in private practice, is more than qualified to handle this case. I got news for Donald Trump. It's not that complicated. And he already has on his bench, because you are the quarterback, but you have a team around you. He's got Fani Willis. He has the RICO racketeering expert, who's also another special counsel with him on the case, and a team of other people. And they're doing exceedingly well in the case. And so she felt she had to defend, and she did, right? And so that Mike Roman, running out of gas on how to defend himself, has decided to attack Fani Willis and some sort of inappropriate relationship. They should be ashamed of themselves for filing that motion. It was not supported by affidavits or declarations, yet they continue to try to call out Fani Willis. In fact, Ashley Merchant, who's the lawyer for Mike Roman, is quoted as saying, based solely on the fact that Nathan Wade, in her view, doesn't have racketeering experience. I got news for Ashley Merchant, who I've never heard of. We'll look her up in another hot take. No state has ever had a former president who was president at the time try to interfere with the peaceful transfer of power and try to deny the winner of the election his seat in the Oval Office through illegal and corrupt means. We've never had that. So nobody has on their resumes, no prosecutor has on their resumes prior experience in public corruption at this level. So let's just call that out right now. So instead, she keeps doubling down on these MAGA talking points, obviously being scripted by Marjorie Taylor Greene and people in the MAGA House, Jim Jordan and James Comer and the rest. She said, if anybody doubts our claim that Wade is inexperienced, that's not her claim. Her claim is that he's sleeping with Fani Willis, and that somehow allows the indictment to be dismissed. We'll unpack that in a moment. But she says, if anybody doubts our claim that Wade is inexperienced, ask him how many RICO cases he's handled. How many RICO cases has Ashley Merchant handled? Ask him how many felonies he's tried. And I'm sure he has tried a number of felonies. This has nothing to do with the color of his skin. The biggest difference between the other special prosecutors and Mr. Wade is that Ms. Willis is not in a relationship with Ms. Cross and Mr. Floyd. Actually, she is. She's friends with all three of them. We look forward to litigating these issues in court. Right, because they want to just make it a public spectacle and public display and try to undermine Fani Willis. They've been trying to do that from day one. That's Donald Trump's playbook. Tear down successful Black women, Letitia James, New York Attorney General, Fani Willis, Fulton County District Attorney, especially as they're getting close to actually getting a conviction against Donald Trump. The closer they get to it, the more his henchmen spring into action for Donald Trump. And now let me explain the ethics of this very quickly. It doesn't matter who Fani Willis chooses to spend her time with after hours. And I don't care if it's somebody that's also getting $500,000 or $600,000 so far for doing it on an honest day's work and being paid for it and being a special counsel. The fact that he uses some of that money or maybe none of that money in order for them to, I don't know, pick up a bar tab or go on a trip doesn't really matter. It doesn't change the immutable fact that there's not just one grand jury, but 2 grand juries have recommended the indictment of President Trump, former President Trump, Mike Roman, and the other 17 people. It wasn't Fani Willis who's indicted Donald Trump or Mike Roman. It's a grand jury in Georgia. A special purpose grand jury made a recommendation for the indictments. After 7 months of presentation, a grand jury, having heard the evidence, witness testimony, and expert reports and expert testimony, indicted Donald Trump and the 17 others. It's not Fani Willis indicting. That's a grand jury in Georgia indicting. And their theory, I guess, that the indictment is being illegally and improperly prosecuted in order to give Nathan Wade $500,000 or $600,000, that's beyond a stretch. That is an unethical character assassination, an attempt on Fani Willis and Nathan Wade. And I'm hoping that when the full litigation happens, and the full briefing happens, it has to happen now, that Judge McAfee sees right through all of this and says, even if I'm to assume that it's true that Mr. Wade and Ms. Willis have some sort of relationship off hours, I've seen no proof or evidence that it impacts at all what's happening in the criminal prosecution of your client, Ms. Merchant, or whoever else joins in on the motion, like Mr. Trump's lawyer, Mr. Sadow. Show me how you've been prejudiced. And don't tell me the prejudice is that the indictment happened, because that's a grand jury. The grand jury did that. Or that the prosecutor is using her discretion off of a special purpose grand jury recommendation and an indictment by a grand jury to prosecute the case. And don't tell me there's no evidence of the case. Look what's up at the United States Supreme Court right now about whether Donald Trump should even be on the ballot as an insurrectionist or as a person who's rebelled against the Constitution. And so unless you've got more to show me, you owe an apology to Ms. Willis and to Mr. Wade, and let's move on. The indictment is not going to be dismissed, and I'm not going to replace the special counsel or Ms. Willis from this case. I know that's what they hope. They hope that she gets replaced and it turns over to some other special prosecutor or counsel who's maybe a Republican who decides to dismiss the indictment because they went to the Caribbean together. No, I see it's exciting for Nathan Wade's ex-wife to bring this up in their divorce proceedings and subpoena Fani Willis and all of this other salacious stuff that's going on. And of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'll do a separate hot take on that, jumps on the bandwagon and starts saying, oh, she should be removed. And I'm a Georgia elected official. And then MAGA jumps in with, we need to open an investigation as to whether the Georgia local prosecution of an ex-president, anything be more attenuated from what they're supposed to be doing in Congress? Here's a newsflash. Don't vote the Republicans in to serve another term in the House and the Senate because they don't deserve it. They passed 23 laws to help Americans in the last almost 2 years. That's it. 23. And if you don't have a scale for that, that is by a power of 10, a really low number. Because they're all busy running around trying to get Hunter Biden to testify, going after Joe Biden, because he loaned his son money and it got repaid. And now going after Fani Willis because of who she as an adult chooses to spend her off hours with. We'll continue to follow, call it out, not blow smoke or sunshine one place. MeidasTouch Network. Don't change the dial. Help them get to 2 million. They're 50,000 free subscribers away from 2 million. They'll hit it in January with your help. And you can follow what happens in this saga, this salacious, disgusting attack on Fani Willis. Only one place, MeidasTouch Network, and on Legal AF. Title is exactly what you think. Makes a lot of sense now. On Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on hot takes like this one, if you like what I'm doing, give me a thumbs up. It helps with the content, keeps the lights on, so to speak. Until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.